Give me, in 45 seconds, a reason why England will go on to beat India.
So, Australia won a test against India because India were basically making sure that the pitches were so helpful to the spinners that it became a lottery. We know they're going to do that again. They've doubled down on it. They've said they're going to do it. You throw Bazball into that, and I do think there is an element, at the very least, of India could get themselves in trouble in a couple of test matches. There will be one local place that will not do the pitch game, as we saw last time. We've seen it a couple of times before. So I do think that the possibility of India making some of the grounds that they should just win at into lottery grounds, and then a little bit of Bazball confusion or Bazball success at times could be a way for England to lose less poorly. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah. No, it's good. Look, there's question marks about how England are going to take 20 wickets. So, in a way, this would enable them to take 20 wickets, wouldn't it, Monty? That's actually the best possible way of them winning the toss, batting first on these ridiculous turning pitches. That, in a weird way, makes more sense for England to win a game than if it's a flat track where the Indian batters are going to take control. And, of course, they've got, you'd say, the more experienced and better spinning attack.
Yeah, look, I think England got, every chance of winning test matches out there. They've got to have a positive mindset. Ben Stokes himself, he's got to think to him, can I make Bazball successful on turning pitches? That's going to be his obviously biggest challenge, because in England he can do it where the ball, does seam but doesn't turn as much. But on the turning pitches, can he do it? That is the sort of carrot that's dangling, for Ben Stokes. He's chasing that. And if he does do that and he wins in India, he'll probably be known as one of the greatest captains ever, to captain, England, and one of the greatest captains ever, in Test cricket, because that is going to be the hardest challenge. Like we said, it was back, I think, 2012 when England, I was with the England team and when we won then. But 10 years after that, no other team has done it. And I think the young spinners, they don't need to turn it much. I think, like Jarrod said, the turning ball is going to help the young, inexperienced spinners to think you just got to land it in good areas, let the pitch do the rest. So that takes a lot of pressure off them. But it gets Ben Stokes to be creative with his field setting, go into the face of like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, play on their egos. And sort of Ben Stokes sort of says, yeah, that's what I want to do. Give me any 11, I can go to India and I'm going to win that test series. And that's, I think, what Ben Stokes is biggest challenge at the moment.
Well, Harmy, I think we commentated on New Zealand, India, where the pitches were pretty fair, really, for both sides. And then we both watched Australia, India, right? Australia turned out with Matt Kuhneman, who basically never taken a wicket in his life before he went to India. Todd Murphy, still like a work experience kid, and Nathan Lyon. So they have one top-class spinner there. They were in a lot of those test matches, right? And the other reason they were in it is because Travis Head's smashing the ball everywhere. There is a bit of a template there for that sort of thing. Whereas I think what John's saying is, if India did flat pitches, how are the English spinners going to outmaster Akshar Patel, Jadeja and Ashwin, right? So if they do go with this, it does actually open up the possibility for like Ben Stokes to play a great innings, or Zach Crawley to get away a couple of times and completely change how the series is going.
Yeah, it's a bit like having green seamers in England. You win the toss, you come on the back end of the wrong side of the toss, and all of a sudden you're chasing the game. I think it comes down, how England win is a mindset. I think the mindset of Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum and the environment they've set is huge for this cricket team. I think that's going to have to be big. I think Ben Stokes himself his psychology as a captain, his leadership qualities is going to be, not only is it going to be tested, but if they are to what they have been, the standard they have been, I think England have a chance, because Ben Stokes is going to have at least one spin bowler who's never bowled in India. He's going to have one spin bowler who's, reasonably inexperienced when it comes to, first-class cricket as well as, red ball cricket, shall we say. And he's got to convince that bowler that mid on and mid off, I've got to stay up to Virat Kohli, who's coming down a wicket and belting him in his back. And then he's got to convince him that, Tom Hartley or Rian Ahmed to keep bowling the way we've set the plan. Keep bowling into that area. And that youngster's going to go, hold on, he's banging me for 6. Why am I not putting a man back? And I think the contest, like what you're saying, Jarrod, about the pitches are spin friendly, and it does bring, I think, a little bit closer to sides closer together. I think if I was advising Ben Stokes, I'd say get as many contests as you possibly can. Have as many contests between player and player. And if you can get that, you've got a chance of winning. You're not going to get the game. Ben never lets the game drift. He never lets anything meander on. But if you can get into a contest, you more or less turn it into like what white ball cricket is. So it's, Ben's going to keep men up. He's going to keep that man up. And he's basically saying to the batter, well, you go and take the risk on that spin friendly and that spin turning wicket. The hardest challenge for me, what I see, when it comes to out there and conditions and playing out there, I think it's going to be very difficult to start your innings in them conditions, the spin friendly conditions. And I think what Ben will do, because we've seen him captain the way he has done, I think he'll risk going for a few boundaries to get that wicket to then put pressure. Because I think that's how I would say that's how England are probably best suited to win the contest. So
okay, so compare captains then. Stokes against Rohit.
Look, Rohit is probably a more traditional captain, I think, than Stokes. Obviously, Stokes is infused with Bazball, but probably would have been pretty revolutionary captain without McCullum there as well, right? Rohit knows how to win in India. The reason their wickets are like that is so that Jadeja and Ashwin can play longer. Right, so they're taking a long-term view, and they're going to lose a couple of test matches in the thing. He's not going to go out and out with anything radical. Their most radical leader would be Ashwin. Like Ashwin would be the one that would come up with all the random stuff if he was in charge. Rohit is just going to say, Rohit himself is going to be like, well, I'm going to make 2 scores in this series that are probably going to be defining, because he's done that almost every time of recent time. He's probably the best player on those wickets in the world at the moment. And he will think that the English players, the way that they attack, will eventually make a mistake. And if you look at what they did on the back half of that series that we did last time, that's what happened, right? They realised, and that was before Bazball, but they realised that eventually those batters would make mistakes. I think the issue for India is none of their batters outside of Rohit particularly like those wickets either. Right, and that's why I think the stuff that Harmy was talking about is really interesting, because at that point, Monty, you're actually playing into the insecurities of the Indian batters. Pujara and Rahane are no longer playing because they're both averaging in the 30s because they're playing on turning wickets all the time, right? If you can get back into the heads of that sort of stuff, and then you bring in the randomness of McCullum, I think you have a chance of actually getting to the Indians, because this is not, they just went to South Africa and got rolled for no runs, right? They've been rolled for no runs at times in Australia. They've struggled in other places. This is not one of those Indian batting lineups where you just go 450 check. They don't bat like that. So you can put that pressure onto them. And that's something that I think Rohit will wait for England to make mistakes, whereas McCullum and Stokes will try and push the other way. And that's what you have to do with young spinners as well, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what England need to do is get Rohit Sharma out early. If they keep doing that consistently, every test match, I think he'll put pressure on the Indian batting lineup. And then the likes of Ben Stokes getting in the space of Virat Kohli, reminding the likes of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, what happened? You got to the final of the World Cup, but you choked, didn't you? I got to the final, we won. Here comes the chokers. He's got to get in the psyche. He's got to be like that. He's got to get into their ego. He's got to play onto their egos, and they think, hey, what's Ben Stokes, coming to India telling us how to play cricket? And then once they start playing with the egos, then you see a different reaction. They say, right, well, let's go after the spinners. Let's go after them. And that's where Ben Stokes, okay, guys, he's coming after you. I'm going to be creative with my field setting. Keep bowling your best ball. It's going to turn, but we'll get him. That's how they got it. That's how I think Ben Stokes got to play these kind of games and strategies.